Wonderful. Right. Welcome to the J. Welcome. You killed it already. You killed it by moving. You killed it by moving. Hello and welcome to the JPOD. My name is Joe.
My name's Jack.
We are here to give you our thoughts on Season 8, Episode 4 of Game of Thrones. This is spoiler hefty, so do not...
Extremely spoiler hefty.
Please watch the episode first. It was a good episode, but not so good, as you'll find out soon. All right, so we're going to just... We're going to do a very fast recap of what happened in the episode. So first up, as you can see on your screens now, Jon said farewell to the dead. It was actually very sad. They burned Jorah, they burned Theon, they burned a lot of Grey Worms, Dothraki. Really, really tragic.
Any Grey Worms?
We don't have names.
So the next scene really is just more of it's a party. We defeated the Night King, whatever. Let's all go have a great time. Get wankered with Tormund and his horde. That seems great. There's a lot of dissension between Jaime and Jon, mostly, in this scene. It's not a single sequence. It's kind of... it just really goes to show that the Northmen in particular won't really accept Dany rather than Jon.
Brilliant. Thank you for that insightful insight.
No, it wasn't insightful, of course it was.
I'm going to tell you about the next one. And our next little screenshot we got here, you can see Gendry and Arya making out again, but this is just after she's turned him down. He wanted her to be the Lady of Storm's End after he was given the title in the previous scene, and she said no. She said, "You're going to make a woman very happy, but that woman's not going to be me." And then she leaves him, and he's heartbroken.
It's very sad.
On to you.
So then next, it's Jaime and Brienne, which is a moment that a lot of fans had really speculated for ever since season 3, really 2 or 3.
Pick up.
Whenever she's charged with taking him down to King's Landing. It's very emotional and it's very tense because what we failed to mention in the kind of dining party scene is drinking game. Between is it Tyrion, Pod, Jaime, and Brienne?
Yeah.
And it's very tense overall, and they end up, doing a bang.
Well, Tyrion asks Brienne if she's a virgin, and she doesn't answer. And then he comes up because he's like, "Well, are you a virgin? We can change that." Much like the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, where he said, "Well, are you a knight?" and then made her a knight. Good old Jaime, always fulfilling promises. Oathkeeper. On to the next one, where we can see our lovely neighbourhood wheelchair boy, who has done very little, but I actually really like him in this season. I think he's been a lot... His acting...
Probably alone in thinking that.
I like it. His acting's chilled out. Like, he used to be so over the top. Anyway, we're on the wrong sort of... we shouldn't be analysing it yet. We're just giving you a recap. So, Bran and the Starks, or are they all Starks, are in the Godswood, near the Heart Tree, laying down some real shit. Jon tells them in the end that he's Aegon Targaryen and tells them, "Don't tell a soul, otherwise you'll start a civil war." Next one.
So the next one is Bronn, Jaime, and Tyrion, and I'm sure you'll get to know my thoughts on this scene later on in the show. I've spoken about this at length before this recording. You know how I feel about it, but the download of it really is that Bronn comes into an inn where Jaime and Tyrion are drinking. He points the crossbow that Joffrey's crossbow, the one used to kill Tywin Lannister, at Tyrion and Jaime. And basically Jaime says, "He won't kill us." Bronn proves him really otherwise by almost putting one straight through his eye. That's really it, and it's just more a case of Bronn, going back to his old ways of he wants his castle, he wants his lady,
Once a sellsword, always a sellsword. Yeah.
Sellsword, always a sellsword.
In
Exactly.
the very next scene, after he says, "I stick up for Daenerys, I think she's going to win. She's got 2 dragons." She loses one of her dragons in what was quite a shocking moment, but it didn't really catch me. As we'll talk about later, but bloody Rhaegar, that's one left if you're counting. But
that's it. Rhaegar's gone.
It's tragic, and he crash lands into the ocean and sinks. So I'm pretty sure he's dead. Big spoilers there, but fuck me, it was actually quite sad. Okay, on to the next one.
You did warn them.
Which is sort of the same scene.
It's with the same scene, really. It's Euron on an absolutely humongous ballista, or scorpion. And he obviously is the one that shoots Rhaegal down. Which is, as said, we'll go into analysis later on. But it's an interesting kind of rub to give Euron. It's a strange, the Dragon Slayer, Euron Greyjoy. But really, it's just really about Euron. He's got his moment there. He's killed his dragon. Grimaces with his eyeliner. Just Euron doing his thing, more or less.
Just being a guy.
Killing dragons. And Tyrion almost gets a harpoon through the stomach.
Doesn't he? He takes a very fast course on Olympic diving. It's very impressive, actually.
He really does.
It's like a pencil dive. And then you move back over. In fact, I believe this happened before, but Arya joins the Hound as he sort of leaves because he doesn't want to get roped into another battle that he doesn't want to fight. So he's off, and she joins him, just like in my favourite season, sort of season 4, where they were like the power duo. They sort of hated each other, but it was hilarious, and they both learned a lot from each other. I'm so glad they're together again. But they're off to King's Landing to fuck some shit up.
Hopefully a lot of banter between them two.
Yeah, I believe.
In the future.
I believe in that banter.
So, the next one is a strange one. It's Varys and Tyrion. And just before this scene, before when they're talking in the throne room at Dragonstone, he says, "I'll look you in the eye if you're ever doing something wrong," to Daenerys. He says, "You're ever doing something wrong," and he says, "You're making a mistake," to Daenerys. And then it really leads into this scene in the throne room where they're both enjoying some wine. Well, Tyrion's enjoying the wine, as he always does. And more or less they discuss the kind of validity and the impact that Jon would have if he was the one to be on the throne rather than Daenerys. And it's a bit of light treason, but nothing that, never hurt anybody. Or it may do, we'll obviously talk about it.
It's very, very sad.
But yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that doesn't look hopeful at all. But the next scene, or a scene soon after that, Jaime suddenly decides he has to run off and be with Cersei when she dies, basically, or try and save her, because he has always loved Cersei. And fair enough, he has loved her throughout the show. But after shacking up with Brienne, he just sort of leaves her. He leaves her in the snow crying. And it is really sad because either, we'll get into theories later on, but either he's done this because he knew he had to. He had to stop her from coming with him because he's off to die, or, his death could be doing one or two things, saving her or killing her. So we don't know. We'll see. But
yes.
Over to the final scene.
And the next one is Missandei looking, distressed somewhat, with a big old Gregor Clegane looming in the distance there. And more or less what happens here, there is a little exchange with Tyrion and Qyburn. They kind of, negotiate somewhat. It's not really much of a negotiation. Tyrion says, surrender. Qyburn says, no, you surrender. And it really ends up in a stalemate. Tyrion goes to appeal to Cersei personally. She thinks about killing him. Says the archers to hold. And then she basically just decides to lop Missandei's head off as a sign of, no, we're not going to surrender to you. And just the ultimate sign of defiance towards the Dragon Queen, killing one of her, closest friends, which is, it was a sad one. It was a very sad one, especially given the character development between her and Grey Worm. But
I can't believe she's the one to go. I always thought it'd be Grey Worm in last week's, but no, it was her.
Well, they set it up in Night of the Seven massively. It was that. It was more of a trope, really.
I agree.
Game of Thrones would, do that kind of thing. Something that's steered away from kind of, your archetypal, structure of TV shows. So.
Very true. I think they're doing a good job. And that's basically it. It ends with Missandei's last words, which is the last word, which is Dracarys, sort of bring fire upon them, and then she dies. And then Dany...
Furious. She looks absolutely furious.
And that is our recap. So, we're going to take a quick ad break. No, we're not. We are going to get straight into what we thought.
Just a joke, we don't have any sponsors.
Going back to the beginning, going back to our first burning of the dead. First of all, we were joking about it because surely the night, there's no reason to burn the dead anymore because the Night King is gone. But
Yes.
I think it's more just like a traditional thing at this point.
Ceremonial.
Yeah.
Especially for, the obviously there's a connection between Sam and Ed.
Mm.
Sam's the one that tortures Ed, which is sad, and obviously the whole connection with the White Walkers is the Night's Watch and Burn.
Yeah.
But I think it was just dispose of the bodies, because it's not like HBO are gonna, whack a big mass grave. It's just not.
Well, yeah, no, I definitely understand why they burn them, but like for example, Theon, he's an Ironborn, so they have burials at sea. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's different from the books, as the show usually is. But
it would make a lot of sense.
I did like the whole they were the shields that guards the realm of men, and we should not forget them. I thought that was a beautiful little speech from Jon. His previous speech in I think it was the battle at the beginning of it, when it's like they're all around us, they're moving in. There are some of us and millions of them. That was like really way over the top and sort of over dramatized. But this was like really heartfelt. This is the saddest moment for me, the entire show, because it just reminded me that we lost Jorah.
We lost Jorah, we lost Theon. Theon is just quickly. Theon is genuinely the greatest kind of developed character in the entire show, next to Jaime characters.
Yeah.
GD character. He's got a great redemption arc, and
entirely.
Obviously, this isn't about the previous episode. He went well.
Mm-hmm. No, I really like that. I did like that beginning scene, and then I loved the sort of party festival scene where the mysterious Starbucks cup was spotted randomly by some people. I didn't think it looked that bad, to be honest, but I really like this. No, but let's just talk about that, because I think that might have been product placement, because there's no way that I assume multiple editors they get and multiple scene checkers they get to check the set before they begin. There's no way they missed it.
It shouldn't be FX editors, as you say, straight through executive producers. It's a very lengthy process.
Exactly.
And Amelia Clark just seems to be having a sip of a caramel macchiato, and it's just kind of been left.
It is. So that's why I think it is just, they've probably got a deal with Starbucks or something. Who knows?
It's not that clear to be brand placement.
No. And it was so dark they had to brighten the image, I believe. So, it's not that big a deal. But I thought it's quite funny that...
It's the biggest blunder that the show has ever made, if you're going to look at it like that. They probably have in previous seasons, say 1 and 2, made some production errors. I can imagine like a boom mic, just looming over Ned Stark's head.
Poor guy.
Like that would be poor guy.
Instead of the axe.
That could.
I miss him.
Just a boom mic comes down.
I really like the scene. Tormund being like, I feel like the writing for Tormund has completely changed. He's just a comedy relief in these really dark moments of incest and brooding faces, like in the second screenshot where you see him sort of looking over and she's just staring forward. I think they don't really smile at all, Amelia and Kit. That says what they've chosen to do for these two, which is fair. You see a couple of cheeky smiles occasionally, usually when Tormund's around, but I do like Tormund. I think he's definitely one of my favorite characters, but it does feel at this point, after the giant's milk, it was a rant. I thought that was good, but now it just feels like they're trying to recreate it, and it's a little bit...
He's just kind of zany ginger bear.
Yeah.
I think Tormund is... The thing is with Tormund, he has also through kind of somewhat of a journey of being Mance Raider's, general to someone that really supports Jon and recognises him as the man he is.
Exactly.
I don't think that he... I don't know if you agree, but I don't know if he kind of champions... Of course he champions Jon, but I don't think he really plays up that aspect of their past at the wall as much as he should do, rather than, obviously just drinking lots of milk out of a horn.
Yeah. His character, especially in the books and in the show, I think, from the early sort of stages, was like, he is this sort of like legendary wildling, or at least he thinks he's this legendary wildling, and he's shucked up with a bear and... slept with a giant and done all these crazy things, and it is all about reputation and power and individual power from your own strength, especially up north with the wildlings, that you've got to rely on your ability, not just your title and who you came from. So that is sort of classically more wildling, but in terms of, season 8, episode 4, he's just being used for comedic relief. And then we see him go. That's a screenshot we didn't talk about, but the farewells, I thought the farewells were really weak, especially for him. He got a good few lines in, but if that's the end of Tormund, I'm going to be really disappointed if we don't see him again.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I wanted to really, just that. There's been a lot of criticism of Game of Thrones season 7 to 8 losing that kind of aura it had around it of anyone could die at any moment, no one's safe.
Exactly.
Because I don't know about you, but that is for sure how I don't kind of see it like that anymore. I feel like certain characters have plot armor. I feel like certain characters are kind of cared about too much, and they just think, oh no, we don't want to kill this person, so therefore
that's why the Rhaegar death I sort of made me feel a little bit more hopeful. Not that I like seeing that dragon die, but it made me more hopeful for the show, because that is a sort of, it was going to look like, these two dragons land and Dragonstone, they prepare for this big fire-breathing attack, but instead they're pulling into Dragonstone. It's like, shit, they just got attacked all of a sudden. And I would have loved that as this is classic Game of Thrones. However, they've just used the old, Euron's invincible sort of trick, where his fleet comes in, and it's like a weak victory for Team Cersei, just because. In
terms of the writing, or
it feels like it was a really short scene. First of all, it was like a 2-minute attack. I thought it was really cool.
Was it really 2 minutes?
Okay, I had a look at it before. I think it was 2 minute 30 or something.
That's absurd.
But bloody hell, it really, the whole, he rolls up, he destroys her fleet outside of Castle Rock. He rolls up, he destroys her fleet outside of
Dragonstone.
Yeah, and outside of Dragonstone. But no. I'm talking about before, when he did the same Castle Rock. Yeah. And then, he rolls in, destroys all those Ironborn ships, basically all of them apart from 3 apparently. And then all of a sudden he does it again. I wish it was the Golden Company at least, with these.
Legitimize some sort of threat rather than Harry Strickland standing a nameless person in front of Cersei.
Exactly, but it's probably it was the Golden Company manning these ships, to be honest. But just the fact that Euron, he is not the villain I was promised. He's not the villain that was promised. He's just this annoying little writing trick they use. Yeah, no.
I can appreciate that a lot. I think, as I have actually mentioned to you in the past, I did think that Euron could have done with maybe an extra half season to build it up somewhat.
Yeah.
Maybe more interactions with people outside of his own family. Not even outside of his own family, just seeing him in combat. You remember the scene from the last season when Yara and Theon are on the boat and Euron comes down like some mad pirate.
Exactly.
Something out of Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Oh yeah.
And he comes flying down and he's cutting people up, and we see that, and his sequences only really tend to be, kind of anywhere from 2 minutes to 5 minutes. You never really get so much exposure, to him. And obviously overexposure, in the show is a problem for people like Emilia Clarke.
Yeah.
Because, she's...
We had a good talk about this.
As much as I love her, we did have a talk about it. As much as I love her, she has been overexposed massively as someone who doesn't live up to the... She's just not as kind of fiery and as convincing as someone, say, like Charles Dance, Tywin Lannister, for example.
Favorite.
Like she can,
favorite Lannister.
She can hold her own as much. So, yeah.
I agree with that. I think it's tough for them to deal with, these celebrities basically who have been on their own in Westeros and Essos. I was saying this before, and how they're all suddenly grouped together and not overdoing. I think what you're saying basically with the overexposure is a lot of her scenes just seem like the exact same thing happening over and over again now, because
it's just her kind of wide-eyed staring into Jon's
face. It's like, I can't believe you're Aegon, you could try and take the throne, and then a couple of scenes later, you're Aegon, you're going to take my throne. It really pisses me off how the show, maybe they're really trying to hammer it home some of these points, because these next few episodes are going to really rely on those points. But I just, I feel like The writing, they have a very little time to show a lot, and the writing, it cuts through things so fast. I'd love to have seen a 10-episode season 8, but alas.
Is it fair to call the writing lazy?
Not lazy, but just, it's like the easier sort of way out. The whole Euron thing I was talking about, it is a lazy sort of trick. They can just go, so how can we take away Dany's dragon? Euron, he's an evil bastard. And
yes.
Sure enough, he is basically her, the only other major league player on her team who's not brain dead or Qyburn.
Or the Golden Company.
But then again, we've seen one scene with them, and that general was a bit of like, he seemed just like a normal old war-tired general, to be honest.
He did, and you're a massive book nerd.
That's what they call me.
And I do believe, from what I've heard, that Harry Strickland and the books are much more of a bigger deal.
Yeah, they are.
Than they are here, because what you see here is they're really just a plot device for Cersei's case. We've got 20,000 gold, they don't stand a chance. But what does that actually mean to us who haven't actually seen them in action? So say if you are a casual viewer, you don't really know anything about the law, you don't really know anything about the books.
Yeah.
You're gonna go to this like, alright, Golden Company, they've not even got elephants, and I was promised that last. You know what I mean?
It's true. I think the whole point of the Golden Company is they are just sellswords. So they're like the highest of the sellswords, but they're still just sellswords. So in the books, I don't want to spoil the books because the books are incredible.
It's a show.
Okay. In the books, it is very different. The Golden Company have a very different role to play than being shipped over and just joining Cersei's side. They haven't got there, obviously, with the books yet, but there's a very different upcoming role. I think in A Dance with Dragons, you see the Golden Company and you sort of know where they're heading from that point, and it's completely different. It's so much better. Anyone who has read the books will know what I'm talking about, but it's just, I really wish they had something like that. Maybe they will. They've got 2.5 hours left of Game of Thrones, which is really sad, by the way. I just realised there's only 2.5 hours left of Game of Thrones. It's like a movie these days. Oh, goodness. But I don't have time. It's like everyone who said Littlefinger was going to come back. They don't have enough time.
There's no time for that. There's no time for that. There's no time for Stereo Pharrell to show up, as much as I'd love him to. Or
they did the little, she said Melisandre said what do we say to the god of death? Not today. I love that. That was a little Stereo quote. And she has this sort of like gift to see quotes from people's past.
Right? I did say that at the time, and I was like, is she Stereo Pharrell? I was thinking, has she turned herself into Stereo Pharrell? And to be quite honest, I think I preferred that.
It would have been good. I really liked her end. I thought the way she went out, I thought that was brilliant. Yes. I didn't want Davos to kill her, because Davos is one of my favourite and he's like one of the most wholesome characters in the entire show.
Wholesome, exactly. That is the only way to describe it. He's wholesome, and he, as much as he's angry about what she did to Shireen, which is horrible, it's disgraceful. As much as he's angry with her with that, it really just goes to show how much of a bigger man he is as a character. He's probably one of the most, beside people like Jon, and now I'd say Jaime, besides people like Jon and Jaime, it's one of the most, well, probably the most honourable person in the entire show.
Yeah, I think so. Jon has got this whole thing with the incest now, which sort of ruins his honour, or at least I think he probably thinks that, and they still got a smooch in this episode. Yeah. They still managed to kiss each other. Yeah. And afterwards he was like, I'll hold your face and promise you I won't try and become king, but Jesus, no, I don't like their relationship between them anymore. I think they shouldn't have found out about the Aegon Targaryen thing until right at the end of the season. I thought that would have been brilliant if they were actual allies to the entire thing. But obviously that's the entire point of the season. That is where it's going. It's going to lead up to which one of those should be the rightful king slash ruler slash queen.
That is where they want it to go. That is where they've always wanted to go. Okay. These two characters, Jon and Dany,
Yeah, I think we should move on to another because we've got 2 screenshots down the list. So let's.
Yes.
I want to talk about Jaime and Brienne and their hookups. I liked the whole Knight of Seven Kingdoms when he said, "I'd be honoured. I'm no longer like an excellent fighter. I'd be honoured to serve under you on your sort of side of the battlefield." That was really sweet because that's like the ultimate compliment he could give her. He used to just mock her and taunt her, but he's basically said to her, "You're the commander I want to follow into battle, and I used to be the greatest knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and now I think you are." I think it's along those kind of lines, and that was sweet. The last episode when they were sort of fighting together for most of it, and good old Pod. I'm so glad Pod's bloody alive. If we lose Pod,
somehow,
I'm gonna.
with minimal training.
Yeah. Well, what a good boy.
Yeah, it's been like 3 seasons worth of training in fairness, so he's not done badly.
He trains every day. Yeah.
I really do know what you mean with Jaime kind of seeing, and really this Jaime and Brienne have been it's really been showing Jaime as how he sees Brienne in different lights. So as you mentioned before Battle of Winterfell in Knight of Seven Kingdoms, I want to rule with you. I want to fight under you as a commander.
Yep.
He recognised her as a knight, which is very important to her arc.
Yeah. And she wants his respect and his love, as we found out. But good old Gwendolyn, she is brilliant, and she nails the whole sort of overcome the fact that she is a woman, but she's a big woman who... This isn't Gwendolyn, I mean Brienne. Gwendolyn has nailed the fact that Brienne... She's nailed the characterizations. Gwendolyn, I'm sorry if you ever hear this. You're not a big woman. Well,
I'm sure she's a big fan.
You're lovely. I'm sure she is. I hear she's tuned in right now, actually. Posted it on her Twitter. No. But she really nails the whole... she's just basically comfortable with the fact that, she's not a normal woman in this show. It's
yes.
She's this big woman, and Jaime loves her. He's fully into her, and they've slept together. So that must be a shock to the system.
Finally.
She's taken down her shield wall. Literally, she's taken off her armor and got into bed with him. And then he said, "I'm not an honourable man. I pushed a boy out the window. All that drove me home from Harrenhal, and after I got my hand chopped off, was the thought of Cersei, not the fact that Brienne was by his side the entire time," which is, I'm pretty sure, what she thought was the thing that drove him on, or at least maybe she did. But I thought that was the worst thing Jaime could do, and I'm praying. This is my theory, that I'm praying he only said it to break her heart so she wouldn't follow him, so he could do the dirty work of killing Cersei, because he knows he's the only one who should be able to. He's the only one who can do it, because she's this evil bitch, and they understand each other perfectly.
Yes. So
if not, if he goes back to King's Landing and fights for the Lannisters, I will be disappointed. I
will be extremely angry if that is what. I think the way to do it, I think Jaime's always had to. Jaime is always supposed to be the one that kills Cersei.
Yeah.
That has been his position ever since being a king. The way to do that is not necessarily put it right, because we know, obviously as viewers, it's actually quite a big bit of dramatic irony. The whole shows that they kind of said that it was a bad thing that he killed King Aerys, and we kind of know that he was going to torch a good million people in King's Landing. And I think that will probably be the case with Cersei, but the way to do it is take their son's sword, Widow's Wail, and make himself a widow in that way, really, and plunge that Valyrian steel sword right through his unborn child and his sister.
Oof! Wow. Okay.
That's quite heavy. If she is pregnant, that is.
No, she definitely is, because she told Euron that she was pregnant, and if this baby doesn't come out, either she's playing mastermind games, or
she could be Cersei. So.
But Jaime said, at least Qyburn said it was. He gave that little nod, because Euron knows she's a tricksy. So I'm pretty sure she is, but it's not Euron. She told Euron it's Euron's. It's Jaime's. So that alone, if Cersei wins, that's the bittersweet ending George R. R. Martin was talking about. For anyone who doesn't know, George R. R. Martin has seen it all, because he is the creator, and he said that the ending was bitter. Exactly. He said it was bittersweet, which I don't know what that means. I'm not sure if that's his opinion of it. Like, he thought it was, good, bad with a little bit of good, or the actual events are bittersweet. Who knows?
Yes. I mean, we can do a separate podcast, which is all how we think this thing is going to end.
Well, I think at the end of each episode, we should give our theories. We should predict what's going to happen.
Updated theories.
Yeah.
That would work.
Yeah. Based on what we've talked about here and our own previous preconceptions, because my theory that Jaime would kill Cersei is looking like it's gonna, it's getting closer and closer. He's getting closer and closer to her, at least. I said that right at the beginning of the season, for anyone who didn't know. But yeah, it's just there's a lot happening. I've said that I don't really like this episode compared to the other two, but there are some brilliant moments in it. Just the problem is, it feels like it's just so one after the other. Just looking at all these screenshots, because like, burn the dead, party time. Arya says no. Yes. They make love. This big secret reveal. Bronn comes back. Dragon dies. The Hound and Arya back together. There's treason. Brienne's left behind again. They literally shack up and then shack down in the same episode. It's tragic. It's really tragic.
It is tragic.
That's what I think has killed it. It would be a brilliant show still. Yeah. It is a really good show. I'm not saying it's not a
it's still
good
above
show.
Par. It's far above par.
Yeah, far above par. But I just on like the Night of the Seven Kingdoms is my favorite episode so far. I teared up to infinity and beyond, and this one I had no feeling at all, apart from at the beginning when he sort of gave us a little flashback to the Night's Watch, and a couple of moments. Rhaegar's death did shock me, but I no longer, like, in my heart feel for the show as I did before, and maybe that is just because it's also condensed, but maybe it is this whole lazy writing thing of Euron comes along and saves the day, and then oh no, look at this, they've broken up another couple.
There are so many times where Jon is, for example, Night King, and he's in kind of it's kind of the Night King is at the far end, Jon is here, and he goes to run at him, obviously. But the Night King starts to raise the dead.
Yeah.
And you think, right, either Jon or Night King is going to die here.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? Daenerys just comes and swoops in and saves the day.
Wow, sort of, yeah.
Not necessary. I feel like in that sense the show has lost its teeth, because we spoke about Tormund earlier and how Tormund is, he's someone that he's just gone off now. He's gone back to the wall with Reigns of the Free Folk.
Yeah.
With Ghost, which I'm sure we can shout about, later. With Ghost. And Game of Thrones Season 7 would have butchered Tormund in the last episode.
Oh, exactly. The problem is,
Season 4,
because it must be hard for them, because they need to keep some important characters alive to kill them off later on in the show, or at least that's probably what they're thinking. They're like, right, listen, so we have a certain amount of A-list Game of Thrones characters, we have B-list, C-list. We'll kill off Dolorous Ed because not everyone loves him. I bloody love Dolorous Ed. I hate how he was the first major guy to die in that episode.
Yeah.
That really got me. That set it off in a good way for me, that episode, because I was like, oh Jesus, they're killing him fast. But it felt like, they're saving the big ones to be killed off. A real, season 1, season 3, season 5, all the really gritty seasons, basically all the seasons before 6, I think, would have just gone, like you said, it's Jon and the Night King here, and we lose Jon Snow. People are like, what the hell? We're losing it.
Yeah,
that's what you want. The Hodor reaction, after we lost big man Hodor, who I'm devastated we didn't see again, that drove people wild.
The Robb Stark reaction.
Oh, yeah. The Red Wedding was tragic.
It is completely... That is the catalyst which drove this show into the stratosphere. It is the most shocking moment probably in TV.
Exactly.
It's the way it's filmed.
Mm-hmm.
It's the score. It's how Reigns of Castamere plays, and you realise something's wrong. The doors are locked, and
he's wearing chainmail. Yeah.
There isn't really a scene that I can think of such as that. In the past few seasons, that has had that kind of had that kind of impact. Like, I mentioned that I didn't like the scene with Bronn, and I think that's what we should talk about next.